before the screening?
David Lynch got me a box. And we were like, oh, I wonder if it's like the Eraserhead baby.
Yeah.
And then we opened it, and it's merch. Like, it's crazy. But, like, he signed the Eraserhead copy.
Oh, nice.
God. Kyle, I wanted to congratulate you on your film, Shrinky Dink. Just wanted to send you a box. So, thank you for letting me host this Q&A. You know I'm a huge cinephile. I'm going to start by asking, what the fuck? Seriously.
I don't know. I just wanted to make something that was really scary, really personal, and a little bit challenging. And so I'm in Skinamarink.
Were you sent back in time to a creepy house in 1973, and that's what's haunted you your whole life? Because you really leaned into the and we were talking about this upstairs, how every idea of design in the early 70s was creepy, unintentionally.
Yeah.
Toys, everything.
Like, there's episodes of Three's Company where they'll have like a piece of furniture, and it's like, what possessed you to make that exact thing? But, like, some things just only exist in the 70s, so, and obviously I gravitate towards that aesthetic.
Yes, definitely. Well, you definitely caught the aesthetic, and you also, the origin of the film came from a really weird place. You had a YouTube channel that used to basically cinematize people's nightmares for them.
Yeah, so people would comment nightmares they'd have, and I would recreate them with no budget and limited access to actors, and people kept commenting a similar nightmare where it's I'm in my house, I'm a little kid, my parents are gone, and there's a monster, and that and a lot of other things kind of led to like the imagining of Skinamarink.
Yeah, and also you really captured that wonderful, benign neglect of 70s parents. We couldn't really get a babysitter, but they'll be asleep by the time we get home. What's the problem? So, and I remember very clearly just being left at home, just with that. You'll be asleep in an hour. You won't even miss us.
Yeah.
They would just go out. Out they go, and they would drive home drunk, and they would, with no seatbelts and smoke cigarettes, and it was all danger and neglect. And that was childhood, basically.
They would come home and say, "Why is the chair on the ceiling and the toys in the wall? Where are the windows and doors?"
What format was this filmed on? Because it has such a dreamy, eerie look.
We filmed on a super modern digital Sony camera, the FX6, with airy lenses, because my friend works at the local film and video co-op, so he gets a discount. And then,
there you go, that's how you make your film, you find a discount.
Yeah, and by discount I mean he had free rental credits or free. And then I had a bunch of Super 8 grain presets, and I just graded it to within an inch of its life.
Yes, you did. Indeed, you did. Take that, Gordon Willis. Yeah. Free cinephiles got Gordon Willis did like Godfather 2 and like all the dark 70s. And even he goes, I went way too far. There's a very famous scene in Godfather 2 where he's talking to his mother by the fire, and you can't fucking see either of them. Acting his ass off, and it's just, you just see a fireplace, and that's basically it.
If he saw this, he'd be crestfallen.
He really would. He would hand his pinball crown to you. So what, and then did you also, what kind of thought process went into picking the specific Legos, that goddamn phone? When I watched this yesterday, and when that little phone with the face appeared, which I had when I was a kid, that was one of the biggest scares for me, that fucking phone just sitting on the floor, getting hit by that light. Like, what was that thought process?
Okay, so I'll address the Lego situation first, then the phone. So, the Legos, I always wanted to have a lot of Legos. I was doing pre-production for this. I thought, where am I going to get all these Legos? Then my friend Andy, who helped with development, said, Kyle, I have a ton of Lego. And I'm like, where? And he's like, in this desk. And I'm like, I've seen that desk. There's no, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I thought you just had pencils like a grown-up. Shit. So I'm like, that's all Lego? He's like, yeah, so that's all Anthony Gorowitz's Legos. And he unfortunately didn't inform me there's a orange-colored Lego separator that only came out in 2011. Also, there's an Oilers jersey that's 1 year out of date.
I mean, that's why like a third of the audience walked out. Yeah, they saw that little orange thing, they're like, oh, this is bullshit.
And keep the historical inaccuracies coming. I love it. I really do like it. It's better than the people who say, oh, well, my dad. And then the phone. So originally the phone just had one scene, and then they negotiated me up to more screen time. No, so the final jump scare that the phone's in was originally something completely different in the script, and then I thought I could reuse this phone shot. So, and then the rest is history. But so I didn't know where to get this phone, and it was always listed in the pre-production material as like I'll have to source it, get on eBay, like the tape recorder. And then I went over to my parents' house, and my mom had all these bins of keepsake toys that she kept. And I was looking through it all, like Batman, blah, blah, blah. I can use this for the movie, and like we got to the bottom of the bin, and that phone was staring at me. And I was like, I don't remember playing with that phone. I'm not trying to be like, I'm sincere. I don't remember. I remember it from like when you went to the dentist's office, they have a kids area. I don't remember ever having that thing in my house and in this house. And so I'm like, Mom, this is in the script. I didn't, and she's like, okay, so.
Now, you have this wonderful dream logic to the film as it goes along. I mean, there's a million ways you can interpret what's going on. It seems like the presence is trying to learn how to play, but in learning how to play, it's killing people or, messing people up. But is there a hidden structure to the film that is there for the finding if you pay attention, or did you really stick to more the dream logic, the kind of non-linear?
Yeah. So first off, on its face, there is a standard, like, Hansel and Gretel story in the movie, and then the rest of it, there's things that I felt in my heart for what it meant, but before I even started writing the script, I wanted it to be a movie that everyone had, like, a personalized version for themselves. So if you felt it's about child abuse, or felt it's about divorce, or felt it's about Star Trek: The Next Generation, like, that's you, because it's not my movie anymore, it's yours. So there is a base story, and there is a handful of things where it's like, I wanted people to think more this, but like, judging from Twitter, people didn't click it, but then other times people did anyways. But outside of that, there is also some hard things in the movie where it's like, this was my inspiration, and also there's a handful of scenes where I have no idea what is, like, there's parts in the look under the bed scene, I don't know why I wrote that, it just, like, sincerely, it just happened, so.
Were you ever tempted to put like a traditional jump scare in this, or did you go, I'm committed to dread and foreboding?
Well, there's some fairly hard jump scares in this, including like there is 3 jump scares, like 3 that sell jump scares in this movie, and I think that's enough, and like,
but there are moments that you're like, oh my God, I'm being set up for a jump scare.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't come, and then because the jump scare comes out of the rhythm later on, it makes it even more. So did you be conscious of that?
Yeah, like I wanted to do a movie that was a little bit of both, so not just jump scares, but not like just atmosphere. I wanted to have something a little bit for everyone. And so, like, another weird thing too, jump scares are a billion times harder to sell than people think. Like, the jump scares in the movie, those took like days just in editing with the sound. Like, it's hard. But I did also want the whole movie to feel like dreadful and yeah.
It definitely is non-stop unsettling, and I also forgot how creepy cheap public domain cartoons are. I used to do a show in Hollywood called Cartoon Dump, and it was Frank Conniff from MST3K and this other guy, Bob, someone Baker, but he was a
Bob Barker?
Not Bob Barker, no. He was this guy. He was a cartoon archivist. He would find these public domain cartoons, and they were always the creepiest things I'd ever seen. Was that something that is that something that clearly frightens you?
Yeah.
Or disturbs you? Because that was creepy.
They never really, so growing up, I was, okay, it's a lie to say I wasn't creeped out by them, because they're so old, like a lot of them are from before my dad was born, and he was born in just before World War II. So they have this feeling of almost like death and like time, and like they just got strange and uncanny in a weird way, but it goes against everything they are, because it's a cartoon. It's supposed to be wholesome and funny, and yeah.
And now it's all disturbing.
Yes.
Or how much cartoon footage did you go to pick out the creepiest, most perfect moments?
I
watched a lot of them.
I actually didn't have to think at all like this part's creepy. I just went with, sometimes it's, okay, I want this cartoon to play because it helps the atmosphere, sometimes it helps the story. So this cartoon, the two kids going off to Dreamland, that's to imply Kevin and Kaylee fell asleep.
Right.
And other times it was just, this is what I have, whatever. And that was really all the decision. The more thing was editing down the cartoons I would pick, because there's tons of them. So I was only able to pick 10, and there's other things too, like old cartoons, a lot of them are quite offensive.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah, so I had to, I really only had this little list of maybe 10 or 12.
Now, have the kids who played the kids seen this film? Have they seen the completed film?
So Dolly, who plays Kaylee, who's awesome, and also Lucas, who's awesome. So Dolly has seen the film for the first time in the theater.
Oh, good lord.
And
How old is she?
She's now I think 9 or 10.
Oh boy. Okay.
And she's already like a whole super horror person. Like when we were shooting the basement scene, we were doing stuff with the camera, and she said, "The new Halloween movie's coming out on my birthday. I love Michael Myers." Okay, good job. And then Lucas, who's also amazing and plays Kevin, is maybe still a little too young for this. He's seen bits and pieces. Apparently, and I asked, I'm like, you're bullshitting, and they're like, no, this happened. So during the screening in Edmonton, he was sitting in the lobby. He and his older brother snuck in during the come to the basement scene. Okay. And that happened, and apparently they ran out. Not screaming, but they were upset. The
kids didn't encounter any of the weird modulated voices or creepiness on the set, I'm hoping.
No, it was such a chill, kid-friendly, fun set. It really was. Because like people who see the movies, some of them don't even know what's going on. So think of what the actors said to a lot of it was just, can you go to the hallway and come back? And that was I felt like Scorsese. Oh, they went to the end of the hallway and came back. Well, easy.
Was the point of view of the camera, is it the lurking evil either just barely below the surface of the earth or up on the ceiling, because the angles are it's that famous shot from Rosemary's Baby where he cranked the camera so that you can barely see so that people
around the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there were moments I wanted to try to
knows his stuff. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, we just set rules from the beginning of, okay, don't break these rules, so try to keep the camera this level, don't show the actors' faces, etc. And once you have this set of rules, okay, I can't break those, then you can play as much as you want and it all works, so yeah.
How many days did it take to shoot?
7 days, 8 if you count the camera test.
7 days. Wow. And now, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but the way this film has sort of caught on was in a very unique way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I can talk about that now that it's out.
Yeah.
So we played at a few European film festivals. We played at one film festival. I don't want to say the name of the festival because it's not the film festival's fault. They were a great festival, but they had an online portion, and as a result of that, it was pirated. The first 3 weeks after the piracy, I had like a meltdown because I thought like everything was over, Shudder would rip up the deal. That turned out after 3 weeks not to be the case. Shudder emailed me, they said, we found out about the piracy, don't worry, we'll accommodate everything to give this movie the best life possible. Like shit happens, right? And since then, it's been phenomenal and like incredible, and I think this is one of the very, like, I don't know the ins and outs, few circumstances where maybe piracy helped the movie, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how.
Well, it definitely blew up on all the comments.
Right around Halloween too, and it ruined my Halloween. I was gonna go as a sexy like Gordy from Nope, and I was, but then this happened, and I'm like, I didn't go out on Halloween. Like, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Pirates. You ruined a young Canadian's Halloween.
Yeah.
But like then all of the theories and stuff that was flying back and forth on Reddit,
It was
on
amazing.
on TikTok, all the people talking about it. I wonder how many people saw it pirated online. I just watching it on a laptop makes you go, well, I have to see this. I wonder if that was part of the appeal.
Yeah, there were some people who, like, I could read, because I follow them on Twitter, I can read between the lines. They had watched a pirated copy, and, like, they went to the theater and saw it, too. Some people, there's one person in America, they're like, this is my third time in the theater, and I'm like, oh, okay. And, like I made the thing, and it's like, I wouldn't do it. But, like, and then... It's incredible, and also like the people who did pirate it, like they didn't know we had a deal with Shudder. They thought it was some small movie that they were maybe doing a favor by helping getting a distribution deal, right? They just found a movie and fell in love with it. And in a way, the people who watched it and like trumpeted it, like did kind of pay for it by like saying, I love this movie. The only thing that sucked was a handful of people who pirated it said, this movie sucks. And it's like, do you want me to give you your money back?
Give me my bandwidth back. I wanted to, and by the way, it's interesting that you said that there's people that have seen it repeat times, because we were talking just about when David Lynch made Eraserhead, very famously played Midnights at the Waverly in New York, and there was that, they asked the theater owner, like, how many people have come into these screenings? And there's like 40 people. Like, that's it? Like, it's the same 40 people that come in and just watch this thing. So this definitely has that hypnotic, time is slowing down outside the world while I'm watching this film.
Thank you.
It really has that. I mean, it has great nightmare logic. Oh. And it's really hard to nail that in films. So you really, oh God, all right. Anyway, I know that we have a lot of horror fans, a lot of cinephiles, movie freaks in the audience, like me. This would be amazing, by the way, midnight at like the New Beverly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this would have that.
Yeah.
Also, down, I will say, either at the New Beverly or in the Orpheum, like it just has this very weird, haunted ghost theater feel to it.
Or the AMC Burbank.
Or the AMC Burbank.
So, isn't there a joke like, because there's 3 AMC Burbank?
Yes.
Why don't they all just called AMC Burbank?
Yes.
Okay.
Kids, Avatar sold out, but there's a movie about 2 little kids who I think are so I got us ticket, and it's got a funny name, Skinamarink. I wonder I bet Skinamarink is like a funny dragon. Let's go watch it. Let's open it up to the audience. Let's see the questions they have. I want to get some questions from them. We have a roving person with a microphone, so I'm going to go right down the front row. You.
Is the gentleman with the gold phone? He I believe asked me in the lobby, so I think he's excited to ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah. And my executive producer is going to hold his phone for him.
Hi, Kyle. From film. So I listened to a few interviews, and you mentioned that there's quite a bit of time you cut from the film. It's amazing they edited it because people say here's writer director, but they don't say editor. So can you tell us a little bit about the director's cut in terms of scenes you cut and really missed?
So there's an even longer version that's 20 minutes longer, and like in a nutshell, here's the differences. So first of all, I met someone, a producer person who shall not be named, and he said you need to cut this down to 100 minutes or else it won't play a festival. And like I think he's kicking himself now. Anyway, so what I cut was this. In the original version, the credits we see at the top are actually 4 minutes of credits at the end with the cartoon music we see throughout the movie played, and also the titles upside down. I had fun with those credits. I was so upset I had to cut them. Also, there's a handful of like very minor cutscenes. There's a brief scene after Kaylee disappears where we hear Kevin cry when the sappy cartoon plays, and I think there's one other kind of minor thing, and outside of that, it's literally the same movie but shorter. Like a lot of like the scene where after Kevin hits his head, they come back home, blah blah blah, and we hear the dad in the hallway like checking on the kids, like. So in the original cut, that was like a minute long, which in retrospect, like why would that be a minute long? It's so funny. So it's really just shorter. Yeah.
Wow. And so will there be all kinds of bonus goodies on a Blu-ray deal?
Probably not, except like, because like there's not a lot to, like there's no deleted scenes, but on Tuesday, me and my director of photography, Jamie McCrae, are going to do a directors and directors of photography's commentary.
Nice.
For the Blu-ray.
For the Blu-ray.
Please tell everyone that there's going to be a Blu-ray so they stop asking me on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. All the time. Next, another question. Right there, you sir, with the mask. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, you're getting your steps in. Think of it that way.
Thank you for coming out to LA. Congratulations on the success of the movie. I read in an interview you did, you discussed the influence of filmmakers like Chantal Akerman and Michael Snow. And I'd be curious if you could speak a bit more about the influence of experimental filmmaking on your approach to horror.
Yeah, so first of all, you can argue every movie's an experiment. So
lock the doors. We're going to be here for 5 hours.
So when I was a teenager, I would pick a different genre and I would get really into it, right? And I had a brief period after I exhausted, I think, John Waters, where I got into more experimental stuff. So I watched all of Brackage. Brackage is the man. Maya Deren, I'm a real meshes the afternoon head. And then other stuff like Chantal Akerman, which I was so excited when it got the #1 on the Sight and Sound poll, because a lot of the critiques you might have about that movie, people seem to say about mine too. Like there's just scenes where it's just a wall or blah blah blah, and that's our life, right? Like we're not watching movies, and then we are. And then Michael Snow. The wavelength, it's just a shot, right? And I, growing up, always was excited about experimental cinema and thought, like, if you just maybe tweaked a few things, like an audience will sit through something weird, right? And even a more conventional audience. So I tried to do something a little bit like that.
All right, next question. Let's go to the middle right there. You in the hand up. Yeah, right there with the reddish hair or something in your red headband or something. I can't. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hi, so we talked a bit about like your cinematic influences. I would love to know, this movie has kind of a creepypasta feel to it for me. I would love to know what urban legends or creepypastas influenced your work, or specifically this film.
So there's two big ones. So first of all, people have asked me a lot about analog horror. I'm not huge into analog horror, but I do like it. And in college, I got into the Marble Hornet series, which was the original, Slenderman mythos, right? And like better than the Slenderman movie. And then outside of that, has anyone heard of the Three Kings ritual?
Yes.
Yes, so it's a kind of urban legend creepypasta thing where it's similar to the Bloody Mary urban legend. So you set up 3 chairs in the throne room, set an alarm for 3:30, set up a candle and a fan, go to bed, wake up at 3:30, get to the throne room by 3:33. Oh, and you have 2 mirrors on the other chairs. You sit in the throne and you ask questions in the dark. And I decided to do a video of this a while back for my YouTube channel, and I thought, how do I end this video? And I just thought, hey, what if I put the chair on the ceiling? That's weird. And people really liked that from the video, and I'm like, that's going into a feature. So I put it into Skinamarink, so stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, with the glow stick. Pays to bring a glow stick, people. I'm drawn right to it like a moth. I'm easily distracted. I'm like a raccoon.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you for also coming out to LA. Ever since I saw your free movie for the first time a few weeks ago, you've been a really big inspiration for me for making my future horror endeavors as well. The question that I have is that your short film, Heck, is this film loosely related to it?
Yeah, so I'll say it in a nutshell. Thank you for your question. So I wanted to do a feature from the beginning. I thought, I'm not ready. I'll do a medium-sized, like, proof of concept short to prove it to myself and others. And the story in the short will be similar but different in some ways. The themes in it will be similar and different in some ways, and enough different that they can stand on their own. And so that's what I did. So there's a handful of themes in Heck that tie over to Skinamarink and vice versa. And I don't necessarily know what all those themes are, but yeah, it was meant as a proof of concept for Skinamarink.
We have time for 2 more questions, so I'm going to go over to this right side. You, sir? Right? Yes, you.
Hi. Love the movie, by the way. This is the second time I've seen it.
Oh, wow.
We saw it at the Burbank AMC.
Oh!
The big one.
Okay, which one?
16.
There you go.
And my question is, online there's a lot of theories that you've mentioned about like what the movie is really about, what's really going on to the kids and in the house. And I know you said you want everyone to be able to make up their own mind as to what's going on. So I'm not going to ask you what you want to be going on, but what is your favorite theory that you've read online?
Oh, that's a good
Is
one.
there one that maybe you're like, oh, I never would have interpreted it that way?
Oh, so there was one really interesting one where it was this reviewer in the UK who has like a YouTube channel and does like, he had a really cool little just 10-minute thing on it. And so I'm gathering he watched a pirated copy, and it appears, so if you watch files on a computer, sometimes depending on brightness, compression, it messes the image up. And as a result, during the look under the bed scene, he was completely unaware that the dad was in that scene. So he, like, that changed his perspective on it, so that was one thing. And then another theory that I thought was really cool, and it was, so Slant Magazine did a thing like, here's all the different theories, and then they had an honorable mention, like, this one's neat, but stupid. And I thought, that's a neat one, and someone had a theory, you know, maybe Kyle Edward Ball is the monster. And there's, like that's actually probably technically the most accurate, right? Like, so, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, run to Reddit, my friend. And then over here, you with your hand up right there. You will be our final question. She's way over there. Right there. Yes. Hold it up high. Right there.
Don't
Yes. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Don't trip.
Yeah, please, easy.
First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is also my second time seeing it.
Oh my god. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I saw it at the AMC Sunset 5.
Should have went to the Burbank 16.
They definitely have better pretzels in Burbank.
But like within the first 5 minutes of sitting there, seeing the credits, I saw the Seed and Spark and the crowdfunding, and I was really blown away. I was like, whoa, something I'm watching in theaters was crowdfunded. Like, it made it seem more attainable, and I want to know like the process. Like, how did this go from something crowdfunded, and like, was that planned for?
Okay, so I'll get into it. So from the get-go, before I even started writing the script, I had, okay, I'm gonna try to write something that I know I could do for next to nothing. So that was a big thing. If you know how much it costs to do things and you write a script based on that, it can work. And then once I finished the script and we got into development, we had applied for a few grants and didn't get any of them. And then the great thing about the grant applications was we had a bunch of material we could move over to the crowdfund. Like here's our synopsis, blah, 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 images. And it was always planned as a backup, like, okay, if we don't get a grant, because we're obviously gonna get a grant, it's an amazing idea. But like, if we don't get those, we'll do a crowdfund, and we had to go to plan B. So, we went to Seed and Spark, which if you're a filmmaker, just go to Seed and Spark. They're the best crowdfunding platform for filmmakers. Don't bother with the other ones. And unless there's other ones, I don't know. Anyways, and then crowdfunding it was a lot of friends and family, and that's typical of crowdfunds. And my friends and family aren't rich, except our executive producer, Edmund, who has a lot of disposable income because he lives at home, but also brought us the television and the other television, and like he has a lot of old electronics. And then once you get into the crowdfund, if you're sincere, if you don't bother people too much, but still bother people a little bit, if you come with a plan, that was another big thing with Seed and Spark too. They like said, this is your plan, don't do this works. And they weren't stupid ideas either, like it was all good. If you do that, you can crowdfund maybe a reasonable modest amount, like 15,000. Or even in this case, I think we did 10,000 and the rest was in kind, which Seed and Spark allows you to count as part of the budget. Like for your first feature, try to do it as low budget as possible. But yeah, it's just try it. Yeah, was that helpful? Okay, thank you.
Wow, well, folks, Kyle look at him. Look how new he is. He's young and doing it. It's his first movie. We have decades of disturbing work.
All right, we have to do the okay. So,
I was still going to do some stuff. What else?
Oh, okay.
Well, there's a reception afterward in the, not only the lobby, but they've also decked out. Go visit the basement of this theater. There's more TVs. Oh, no. There's more creepiness. Probably that step and repeat probably cost more than your movie. Honestly.
Oh wait, you're counting the set they built.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
it definitely costs more.
But there are other hidden nooks and crannies and rooms in this theater. There's a whole thing going on. Go out, explore, hang out. Just trust me, it's good and creepy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have to do, okay, so on top of this theater, obviously the movie is now playing on Shudder in all Shudder territories.
Yes. Thank you, Shudder. Platform.
If you like the movie, which I know some of you did like the movie, tell a friend.
And make sure to go to Shudder and give it 6 skulls, because if you give it enough rating, you might get a special message from Joe Bob on your TV. But make sure to give it 6 skulls over there on Shudder. He would really appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
I love your face!